Well, you know what's really helpful about that, at a time you maybe can use it. You maybe don't find yourself hiking alone very often like I do. But when I do find myself hiking alone, especially if I'm lost, for instance, um, I rely on the things I've had to memorize to keep me talking, or songs that I have had to memorize, or that I have memorized, which we all know there's a lot of them in my head. Because, like for bears and whatever else, whatnot, you're supposed to make a lot of noise so that they stay away from you and like give you a wide path. And so when I start seeing a lot of scat on the ground, I know I'm supposed to be making a lot of noise, and that's what I do is I repeat the things that we had to repeat, like Psalm 23. So you could use that for sure. Hang on just a second, John. I want to make sure that I tell you that on lots of the tables around this space, there's a coloring sheet. Look, you could come sit up here at the table even, and it's a Psalm 23 coloring sheet. So if you wanted to, and there's some smaller clipboards around too, and there's colored pencils and markers everywhere. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to listen to Psalm 23 and talk about what we hear in it. But maybe one of the things that will help you to experience that psalm in a new way is to color it. So feel free to do that if that is a helpful tool for you. Okay, John. On Robinson Crusoe on Mars? Oh. Yeah, the most popular. That makes me think, there's another movie, and I cannot remember the name of it, but there was a time when I had a roommate, and it was probably a Sunday afternoon because I was taking a nap, and that's what I do on Sunday afternoons my whole career long. And so I was in the next room, and he had this movie on, and I don't know what the movie was, something I don't watch, action in other words. And I know there was people underwater, so there was some kind of thing they were trying to defeat underwater. And there was this dude who started praying, and he had this great booming voice, a black guy. And then he gets to the valley part. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And then the psalm changes entirely to like, because I'm the meanest, and then I'm not going to say the next part, in the valley. So I broke out laughing at that point because I was sitting in bed listening to the psalm, and it was so nice. And then, that's not a nice way to change that psalm for sure. But it did surprise me enough to make me laugh. I'm going to read you different versions of it today. And while I do that, we're going to, at least for the first three, we're going to put up an art image based on the 23rd Psalm so that you can reflect on the 23rd Psalm in that way. For each time that we run through it, I want you to listen for a word or phrase that stands out for you this time and see what catches your attention on this day. Or if it's different in different versions, that will be interesting too. So this first one is from a version of the Bible called the Message. So it's quite a bit different than what we normally hear. And this piece of art is from an artist named John August Swanson. God, my shepherd, I don't need a thing. You have bedded me down in lush meadows. You find me quiet pools to drink from. True to your word, you let me catch my breath and send me in the right direction. Even when the way goes through Death Valley, I'm not afraid when you walk at my side. Your trusty shepherd's crook makes me feel secure. You serve me a 6-course dinner right in front of my enemies. You revive my drooping head. My cup brims with blessing. Your beauty and love chase after me every day of my life. I'm back home in the house of God for the rest of my life. What stands out to you in the Message version? What did you hear in a different way? Yeah, we did some talking about that in Bible study this week too. Like, what is meant by you prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies? Like, are we actually saying like, haha, I get to eat and you just have to watch? Because, I mean, that doesn't feel like it could be right, because that doesn't sound like God to me. Another way to interpret enemies in the Psalms is to think about all those enemies that are inside of you, so that you are bringing to the table all of those things that will also be fed and nourished and cared for. Another way to think about it is like, what if in the presence of my enemies means they're all going to be at the table too? Is that what you're going to say? Yeah. As long as you're the head of it, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, contentment. And if you are content and you're provided for, then that would also mean resolving, reconciling all of those things inside or outside of you that are enemies, I would hope, too. Interesting things to think about. Of course. Ah, he's leading me beside still waters, but I don't always follow. So we can dwell in the places that are swirling and chaotic instead. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's why we read it so many times at funerals, when we're finally at rest beside still waters. Anything else that stood out to you want to mention? Anything from the painting? It's a little hard to see with these screens. Actually, Dave, could you turn down the lights in the house? Mm-hmm. If you compare this piece to this John August Swanson's The Lion Shall Dwell with the Lamb, they have some similarities for sure. It's hard to see from here, but I like that the two wayfarers who are standing there in the middle also have a little dog with them. Looks a little like Caroline. It's between them. Mm-hmm. And a peacock. Have I ever told you my peacock story? One time when I was like 10 years old, we were in Nebraska and driving near DeSoto Bend, the Missouri River, and I saw a bird that had all of its feathers fanned out, and I don't know, you color peacocks a lot when you're a kid. I'm not sure why, but you do. So I thought it was a peacock, and I said, "There's a peacock," and my family still makes fun of me for it. There's no peacocks in Nebraska. Then it was a turkey. Then every once in a while, there's like a peacock that escapes from the zoo, and then I can send them articles about how there could be peacocks. Let's read the one you might be most familiar with, depending on which church you grew up in. This is from the New Revised Standard Version with the new image. Whoever got the clicker. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. How does that one sit with you? What stands out to you? Living in and dwelling in, remaining in.
I go back to my mom had a lot of pain, agitation
Yeah,
at the end of her life. Know that it was comforting to know that that was done for her now.
yeah,
At peace.
yep. The at peace part at the end of the struggles near death is often a clear thing. It's interesting for me to think about, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. So now I'm thinking about what it looks like to have goodness and mercy pressing up against you, behind you, and pushing you forward. Mm. Right. Yeah. So to paraphrase, for those of you who couldn't hear and those of you at home, Melissa's saying, when things don't go your way, if you have an intention for how you think the world is going to unfold, this allows you to rest in what is and be okay with it, and know that we can just let the world unfold as it's going to unfold, which is different than saying God has a plan for you, but it does say that like where you are and where we are is okay. And there's goodness and mercy that's pushing up against us from behind that will lead us forward. I added on to what you said, but that's what they pay me the big bucks for, you know. You're very articulate. All right. here is the King James Version. So if you grew up in that kind of church or you're that age, then this is the King James Version. For some people at those funerals, you probably do hear this one because this is the one that people in the homes want to hear, this version, because this is the one you grow up with and when you're of an older set. Yeah, and there's the new image. This artist is Saatchi, Saatchi. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will hear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not a shepherd, but it's interesting because I think that we always think of the rod, especially because we hear, especially those of us maybe who are older, you hear stupid phrases like spare the rod, spoil the child. That is not a thing that is part of people's language anymore. But so our ideas of what that might mean might be different. I mean, I don't know, but my guess is that as a sheep or a shepherd is guiding its sheep, it might actually be more like, or even just like, this happens when I'm walking my dog. If there's another person coming, I just like pull over this way and she knows then this is not a person I'm going to greet. Just yeah, just a feeling, oh, we're going this way, or like when you're, and that's different than what we hear when we hear the rod as a punishment. So that's certainly helpful because otherwise, yeah, again, hearing God as one who uses that kind of punishment is not helpful for us, probably. Yeah, why didn't I bring I actually have one at home that someone gave me when I got ordained, and right, it has like the hook at the top.
I always think of it as, too, you're going a little veering off the path and somehow you get hooked back in.
Right, lead you back to those still waters, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which we all need. Yep. Yep, because you start to listen to those voices in your head instead of the, yep. Anything? Yeah, Jessica. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Because yeah. Sometimes when we have the most familiar version, we just quit listening to it because it's so familiar to us that we just don't even think about it anymore. But oh, yeah. Yeah. It's fear no evil. Yep. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Yeah. So that helps. It's making me think of something else, but I don't remember what now. And that's right before the rod and the staff, they comfort me. So, like, I guess then if you're lost in the dark valley and you've got something that's guiding you to go the right way in this place where there are lots of things to fear, that's the thing that's comforting you, like someone knows the way here. Any other comments? We have one more version to listen to. And this is from one of Michelle's prayer books. It's I think Psalms for Praying is what the book is called. We listened to it in Bible study on Wednesday night. And it's quite a bit different. So hopefully, so we put it up on the screen instead of another image because there's just too many white gods in the world. And so we couldn't find a good one to show you. Okay. Oh, my beloved, you are my shepherd. I shall not want. You bring me to green pastures for rest, and lead me beside still waters, renewing my spirit. You restore my soul. You lead me in the path of goodness to follow love's way. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow and death, I am not afraid, for you are ever with me. Your rod and your staff, they guide me. They give me comfort, strength and comfort. You prepare a table before me in the presence of all my fears. You bless me with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the heart of the beloved forever. What did you hear differently there? Yeah, I shall dwell in the heart of the beloved forever is the one that stuck out to me too, as being so different from the versions that we're familiar with. Yeah, feels very peaceful. Mm-hmm. Mm. Huh. Yeah. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow and death, I am not afraid, for you are ever with me. Your rod and your staff, they guide me. They give me comfort and strength. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's written as a prayer to God instead of talking about what God does for us. And the nice thing about that is that it doesn't use pronouns for God. So it's just directed at the royal you, the ultimate being you, which is good. You will be with me. Yeah. Ultimately, that's the ending. You will be with me. Mm-hmm. 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 In the presence of all my fears. That was an interesting way to say that, too. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Something else that made me think about this verse is that a lot of times I think about when I'm going to die.
Mm.
And how am I going to feel? How am I going to be?
Yeah.
But it tells me that God will
Yeah.
not impurity, just believing that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a,
So it's a reassuring psalm to hear when you're thinking about what it might be like to die when you have those fears, because you're going to be guided and led into the right places along with that goodness and mercy that's pushing you forward from life into life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was lovely. Nice work helping out with the sermon today. I hope that now the next time when you're sitting in the pews of some other church and hearing Psalm 23, you have some new insights that you bring into that. Or I hope that as you're walking through your week this week, you end up in those places where your fears are showing up like enemies, or you're doing the spiraling down, whatever your spiral looks like. You can think about this psalm and the ways that it might comfort you in the ways that God can be present and is present in your life, guiding you back to the still waters.